What's up, dudes? It's your boy WQQQQWRT, and we're going down to the campus to spy on hot college girls because it's really nice out. And I'm not even joking either. That's literally what I'm trying to do. So, but on the way there, let's talk about some stuff, because last night I was playing Link of the Past, and like I always do, just doing some hard no reset runs, and I'm really close to the record, right? I've been trying to get the record literally since I started playing this game, April 1st, 2013. That was the start of my adventure, and there's a little story to that too, but I'm not going to go into that. Every time I get closer to the record, there's a ripple effect in different aspects of my life, and they're all loosely connected. But I've been posting these big wins lately. Every day, every time I stream, I keep getting some new progress, and it's like I keep posting a big win, and it's like, for me, this is like very unusual. This is beyond the norm. I don't usually play good Link to the Past. It's very rare for me to play, not just good, but I mean remotely good. I've gotten 3 gold splits in this May. It's only been 3 days of May. And not just that, I PB'd 3 days ago. I got my best run ever after my PB up to Skull Woods, the day after, and my best light world ever the day after I PB'd. Last night I got some meaty golds. I mean, 2 major golds. This is not typical of how I play the game, and I think it's like kind of a big deal because again, there's this ripple effect where the thing is, the majority of the Link to the Past community, and I think the Link to the Past community is one of the more corrupt communities I've ever seen, and that might just because I play the game so much and I know more about it than pretty much I know about any other community. It might be because I think it's because it's super small, and there's no infrastructure, right? So what happens is the noobs at the bottom who don't make an effort, they still want power, right? And I don't have power. The top players don't have power in this community. So what the noobs can do is create cliques, create their cults, right? Because it gives them the illusion that they have power. Because technically I do have power, but I don't have overt power, right? I don't have any money. I don't have any. I don't get any Twitch viewers. So what can the community that is jealous of me, I guess you could say, I don't like saying that word, but a lot of people interpret it that way. What can they do? Well, they can't remove my power, but they can do 2 things. They cannot give me power, and then they could create the illusion that they have more power than me, or that I don't have power, right? Most of the people who watch Link to the Past streams are all Link to the Past runners. They're not organic viewers, and so what they'll do is they'll intentionally not watch someone to take their viewers away, right? Well, that's inorganic. That's not real. It's the illusion that they don't have power, and this is one of these things that the Link to the Past community, speedrun community, does to harm its top players, right? It's hard to get good at the game because there's no reason to get good at the game, right? Not just it's actually a difficult game, and at a high level there's a lot going on, but there's no reason to get good at the game. There's no viewers, there's no money, and the community's pretty anti-growth. So when I get better, the better I get and the closer I get to the record, it makes the real haters, the people that really hate me, because of course not all the community hates me, but the real haters that pretend to be my friend, they start to get exposed more, because every time I post a win, they get more mad at me. They get more frustrated. They get more, well, I don't know, what's the word, start jumping me. I go into someone's stream earlier, and I said something about a randomized leaderboard. I'm like, let's make a randomized leaderboard, because I actually want to see a randomized leaderboard. And he started just blasting me, just attacking me for all these different things. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. All I said is I want to see a randomized leaderboard, which is a true opinion. That's not even a false opinion. It was relevant to the discussion. They were talking about a random leaderboard. Why would you attack me so much? So, and that's just the beginning of it. And the closer I get, it's gonna balloon more. And it's interesting because back in 2015, I tried to attack this problem head on, and I tried to say, fuck you guys. All right, I'm done with your manipulation. I'm done. I'm gonna be myself. and they were able to manipulate me to go against my will, and I am very sad about that. Now, it weren't entirely. I was a little bit successful, so that's good in its own right. But I think nowadays, or round 2, it's different because 1, I'm a lot smarter, I'm a lot stronger, and also me getting the closer to the record again, it's my trump card. If I get the record, it's like, now what, you know? I can finally truly expose the community for being completely corrupt. But that's just one aspect of this ripple effect, right? I guess the point of it being a ripple effect is they all talk to each other about me in their cliques. So the other aspects of this ripple effect, though, I guess I won't go into too much. But one of them is really important. One second, you guys, my audio quality is terrible, and there's not a lot I can do about it. So. I'm thinking about changing it soon, but we're just gonna have to struggle through some bad audio videos. Anyway, the real point of last night, why it was so powerful, because, you know, making people, you know, exposing the haters and, you know, making myself look good, it's cool, but it's really not my real intention. That's not my goal. I don't really care. My real goal, my real intention, I want to really improve at Link to the Past and ultimately improve myself. You know, it's all about self growth. That's what I'm all about. And I was definitely feeling a lot of self-growth last night. So the person who has the record in Link to the Past right now, Zelna, he's pretty much like explicitly better than me at the game. I think I'm more up to date on the meta, and I've been working really hard at that in the past 3 to 4 months, and I found a lot of stuff, and I think I have an advantage there. But ultimately, he's a lot better than me at the game. He's better at getting good runs. He's better at playing on good runs. He's better at trying harder on bad runs. He makes less mistakes, and I think he's much more developed in those really key aspects. He has better decision making too. These are like the most important aspects, and this is really what like determines your ability to play at a super high level. I think, you know, that's at least the golden gnome that everybody's like, you know, goes on about. And yeah, he pretty much outclasses me in all those aspects. Now, I have made a lot of growth there in the past like 7 months, which is good, but he's still like far better than me. I think if I do get the record soon, because and every day it gets more possible. It gets more, oh man, this could happen, you know, it gets more believable. And again, I'm pretty shocked that I can say that, because I've been speedrunning Link to the Past for 3.5 years, and I literally have never once been able to say that or been able to even be close to saying that. And it's getting pretty close, so maybe in a few months from now I'll be able to hang with him. But and then Crystal's another example where I think honestly I really do think she kind of outclasses both of us in all those aspects. And obviously her PB is like super out of date, so plus it wasn't very refined. I think if I have any advantage over any other player, it's almost entirely determination to win. That's like pretty much it. But the point is, last night, one of these runs I did 5 runs. 3 of them were really bad, and then 2 of them were pretty good. One of them, it was completely dead, and then I just decided I really needed to try my hardest. And it was, oh my god, dude, a fly just went in my nose, dude. I sniffed it out though. So I just started trying in the middle of at the end of the run, and I was able to pull out a really big win. A really good end of the run. And it wasn't amazing or anything, and you know, I'm just glad I tried, because I want to try harder on dead runs. That's one of my goals, which sounds kind of silly, but it's pretty important. Back in October, I had a 124.20, and the record was a 23.42 back then. Actually, I decided that I needed to, because the thing in Link to the Past, almost all your PBs, or at least the relevant PBs, you get a good light world, good Aghanim RNG, which is like half of the run, and then you kind of coast on that for the rest of the run, and it's either good or bad depending on RNG. And you're super try hard too, because you know it starts out so good, you just keep carrying it on it, right? And that's pretty much how I got every PB playing Link to the Past, and that's the general trend for players. But at 124.20, there's less time to save in the game, and I couldn't really improve by much, and so, or I couldn't even, at least I couldn't rely on improving, right? And so I decided that I needed to be able to try on like every run. I actually started to try harder on every run, and so if I lost 15 seconds right at the start, which is kind of a big deal at a 124.20, even though the thing about Link to the Past is there's so much time to save, I could still save 50 seconds in that run, right? but it's hard because 15 seconds right at the start, you would run a reset. So in those runs, I would just say, hey, I gotta try my hardest. And so I started actually doing that, and it was pretty successful. And that was great because I started getting a lot of PBs in runs that weren't really PB relevant, right? And actually, it went even further because a lot of my it helped me prepare for runs that weren't PBs, or that were PBs. Like, I would try my hardest on a 3 blue ball run, right? And then I would wonder, why am I not trying harder? And I would do that for 5 runs in a row, and then I would go into a run, and it was a 0 blue ball run with like really good light rolled, and it was amazing. And I would just try 10 times harder than I've ever tried before, and it was like, it was really starting to help me out, and like I was starting to, you know, see real improvement. And then I can't do that anymore though, because back then, 24-20, you can PB on 3 blue balls, you can PB on 5 blue balls. 123.32, you can, but it's not. And actually, the truth of it is, you can, but it starts to get tighter. If you lose 40 seconds in light rolled, you might eventually just straight up can't. It's just like task impossible. Even if you lose 20 seconds, it pretty much becomes pointless. But it's not entirely true, and that's the problem I'm running into last night, and I'm kind of running into a lot lately. Is like, even though I technically can't, I still need to try. Before it was pretty doable, and so I would just try regardless, but I don't have that privilege right now, so it's like I have to, but you have to still try, right? And so one of these runs, the third run, I randomly tried in the middle end game. I was really happy with myself. I was like, this is good development. The next run is a complete disaster. It was a complete disaster. It's terrible. Bad RG, and I played like off. I completely tilted. And like, this is the problem I'm trying to adjust, but whatever, I'm just gonna let it happen. But the 5th run, light world wasn't that good. It was okay though. Good RNG. I'm plus 10 going into dark world. This is not a good run. It's definitely a disadvantaged run, but this is my opportunity. It's an opportunity. If you get good RNG, you know, it'll make up 10, 20 seconds, right? And so I got bodied really hard in the first 3 splits, and the run turned into a garbage can, and turned into a complete garbage can. And it was basically a 3 blue ball run. It was basically dead by Skull Woods, and it was like, that's kind of demotivating, but I got lucky. I'm gonna cross this for you guys. So the run was like pretty much dead, but then I'm going into Ice Palace. I was like, you know what? I gotta try hard. And this moment for me was quite possibly the biggest moment in my Link Pass career. This is quite possibly the peak of my gameplay. And I mean, for a second, or maybe even less than a second, I was ascended. I completely ascended. And this changed my mind, dude. This completely changed my mind. And all I noticed was, right at the end of the split, I looked at the timer and I realized I was only 20 seconds off the record. I was only plus 20 on the record, and I'm like, I could beat that. You know, if I don't make any errors and I get good energy, I would legitimately beat the record. That's all I realized. And then I went into ice and I literally made 0 errors, and all the minor stuff too, like all the menus and grabbing stuff and like dashes. I mean, the really hard stuff. It is like, I played so good in the Ice Palace. I've never played that good in my life. I've never played close to that good. That was completely mind-blowing. And honestly, the thing is, I don't even care about the time. The split was 1.5 seconds gold. I don't even care. No, it was like 1 point. It was about 1 in sorta, which is more accurate. So it was like 1.8 in my timing. So, but who cares? It's irrelevant. It was a random split. RNG wasn't even good. The point is, it was okay RNG. The point is though, what was going through my brain as I was playing was the important part. That was the valuable part. And what was going through my brain was, it was something about not making mistakes. I can't put it into words. And I might be able to a month from now. I might be able to 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now. I don't know, but this does exist. It is a real thing. I can take control of it, and it would be mind-blowing. It would be completely game-changing if this is real, I don't know what's gonna happen next time I do a run. And honestly, guys, that run was completely dead. But then I almost brought it back. I literally almost brought back a completely dead run. And that changed my mind. And this is another one of those big wins that I keep on posting, and I keep on pulling out of my ass. I don't know how many times I've done this in the past week alone when it was hopeless, And honestly, well, yeah, I would say about a week because I didn't play for a week before that, so I would say about a week. But I don't know, it's like, I've never done anything like this before, you know? And I did improve a lot in the past, like, I would say 2 months, 2 to 3 months, like specifically. I started improving in June, and then July I didn't play at all. I literally did one run and got a PB, cool. I don't think I played all in August. September I started playing again. October I went in hard as heck. November I didn't play at all in November. I mean, you know, I started this in June, but 3 of those months I didn't play at all. December I played a lot. January I played a lot. February, not really, but I came up with this idea called natural gameplay in the end of January, and I was practicing a good amount in February, like offline, and that, I think with the few runs I did, not only was pretty much every run I did in February like really good, the few runs I did, plus the second half of March. I mean, again, this is why I'm thinking maybe I could get the record, because look at how much have I played in the past 4 months. Well, I didn't play all in November. I played entirely in December, but I was having huge hand issues. It was too cold. I had moved. I literally just moved. I was derusting. So it's like December was kind of an off month, right? January was a good month. February, well, I moved again. I got my wisdom teeth pulled. Again, I've been having these hand issues that I've been kind of coming to terms with, kind of struggling with. So even the first 2 weeks of March, I didn't play at all. I PB'd after like a few days, and then I went into Hundo, and then I went into SMW. So again, there's another 2 weeks I didn't play Link to the Past, or NMG, right? And then I went back to NMG because I'm like, you know what, I can improve this time. But then I was having controller issues. So for about 2 weeks, again, I was having controller issues. I was barely playing the game. Or I wasn't really getting any good results. And then my controller started to feel better, but then I was having hand issues, you know? And then I took a week break for whatever reason. I don't remember. So it's like, actually in the past like 4 months, I've barely played the game at all. I've barely been able to test myself. Now I have been playing almost every day. I do practice a lot. I have been thinking a lot, and the entirety of my improving is all in the mind, right? But I'm saying that I haven't really tested myself. I haven't really shown what I'm capable of, you know? And I'm thinking I'm probably capable of things that I was not aware of, like some really crazy stuff, and I might be able to post it. I might actually be able to post that stuff, so who knows? God, it's fucking sweaty and hot here, and it's kind of driving me saying this. And again, I'm pretty sure the audio is complete ass. That I have to work on, and I think I have a plan for that, good, but it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a minute to fix, so oh well. But in the meantime, we can just keep posting these shitty vlogs. So let's get back to my story though. I'm thinking in the next few weeks, I'm gonna be at peak shape, and what I can do is start getting these like crazy results. But I'm going back to how I was playing in Ice Palace yesterday, because I often criticize the mentality. I say it's bunk. I say it doesn't exist. I say it's an ego trap. I think it's an ego trap, honestly. Whether mentality exists or not is a completely different argument. What people refer to as mentality is the ego trap, and I'm saying avoid the ego trap. Mentality it's there. Maybe it's not there. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Like, focus on the game. Focus on improving, right? You know, if you lost the game, go into practice and try to figure out why you lost, right? Focus it on don't focus on the ego trap. That's what's going to get you. And that's the thing with what I learned this in October. I knew this in 2013, but I realized in October, well, how do you improve if mentality is an ego trap? I mean, how does the brain even work then? It doesn't make any sense. I know a lot of people are confused about that, but I realized this in late October, or no, it was in September, about understanding. If you understand a system differently, you're going to approach it differently, right? So, well, you can't say, oh, well, just not rage, and I'll tell myself it's all okay when the run's going to hell, and I'll play amazing. No, that's the ego trap. That doesn't make any sense, right? You can't just randomly change how you understand the game. That's stupid. But what you can do is think about the game, and think about how the game works, and think about how results work, and think about how your inputs work, and what you do matters. And think about the game. If you understand the game differently, I'm saying you go into the game and you're faced with a difficult situation, you will reflexively react differently. You'll play differently, and that's the goal. The goal isn't to tell yourself to not rage. The goal is not to tell yourself to not rage, right? That's the ego trap. You can't change how you understand the game for no reason in the middle of the game. That's stupid. But you can change how you understand the game right now, and then when you go into the game and you're tested by one of those difficult situations, if your practice is working, if what you're doing makes sense, and that's the reason I advocate hard logic, because if it makes sense, then what you're going to do is you're going to not rage if you played your cards right. Because think about it, there's no reason to rage. If you're plus 20 in light roll with 3 blue balls, well, that's a good thing. You have an opportunity to get a PB. This is not a bad thing. There's no situation where this is a bad thing, you know. Let's say you go into a Helmasaur, plus 0. If I was plus 0 going into, let's say I'm plus 0 going into or minus 10 going into Trinex, right at the end of the game, world record pace. This is something I've been trying to do for years, right? And I completely messed up in at least 30 seconds. And so I'm plus 20. You would rage, right? You'd give up, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the reality is, look at hard logic, you got past Trinex, you can PB with plus 20. I mean, this is an opportunity. This isn't anything but an opportunity. Like, you know, take the opportunity. But that's not what happens. I give up. And so I'm thinking, I got to understand the game better. I got to understand it differently. I got to start thinking, because there is success out there. There's a future out there that it's attainable. It's completely attainable for me, and that's my argument. And it's like, that's what I'm getting at with how I played last night. Because the fact of the matter is, I played so damn good that what was going on in my brain, and honestly, maybe I'm just lucky, because what was going on in my brain was different. I was understanding the game differently in that moment than ever before. And I'm not going to force it, because one of the reasons I advocate natural gameplay, and one of the reasons I advocate understanding something and not forcing it, is because you can actually recreate it. I called it I have some goofy name for it. It's like the fool's paradox. That's what it's called. The whole goal for idiots, noobs, you know, 99% of people, is to not choke, right? That's their dream, is to randomly not choke or randomly play excellently, bring it back. You know, everybody looked at Evo Grand Finals when it was Armada versus Hungrybox, and they're both choking, and Armada specifically choked, and then Hungrybox got the win. Everybody looks at that and be like, oh, I wish I was Armada in that situation and I hadn't choked. Imagine how good I would be. That's the ego trap, right? That's the paradox, because what's the point in trying to do something that you can't recreate? What is the goal? Even if you're successful in doing it, if you can't recreate it, you've gained nothing. Like, it's completely pointless. Where if you actually find a solution to it, like a real solution, well, it's completely recreatable, and you can recreate it under any circumstance. And actually, guys, the truth is, thinking like this is actually kind of a big deal for me, because when I come up with a crazy idea, one, I check if it makes any other sense or not, and then number two is I don't force anything, and I try to find natural ways I can, you know, embrace this. When I came up with input-output theory, and that kind of changed my life, I didn't force anything, and then I just worked with it for a long time, and then it became a part of my being, became a part of my my understanding, my mind. I didn't have to force anything. Same with natural gameplay. It was completely natural, right? The whole idea of natural gameplay. Same with my process of limitlessly improving. Is the same with all my arguments, again, since October. Let's go back to what I was saying about mentality and then understanding and natural gameplay. This actually has nothing to do with natural gameplay, but it's all connected. This thing I was playing last night, I wasn't playing like I regularly do. Regularly, how I play is I just try to do every room as fast as I can and try not to throw the runaway, right? And so I end up making a lot of mistakes, because mistakes, honestly, it's fine. I didn't throw the runaway. It's still pretty damn fast, right? It's risk reward at the end of the day, you know? So it's acceptable, right? That's how most people play. That's how I play. That's how I understand the game, right? That's my process of understanding the game. Well, I call this the crystal concept, or the crystal clause. I'm not really sure. I'll come up with a name for it eventually, but for now, it's the crystal concept. It's when you literally don't make any mistakes. You intentionally play to completely minimize your mistakes. You completely minimize loss in that aspect. You still lose time. You lose lots of time, because everything you do is natural. Everything is completely natural, because how else can you minimize all these mistakes, right? And I don't think Zelna is at this level. I think he's very good at minimizing mistakes. He's very good at movement. He's very good at execution. He still makes a lot of errors. He still gets nervous. He's not in as much control as Crystal is. Look at the facts. It's just a fact. Why? What is the meat? What's the meat here? And I'm nowhere near either one of them, but I'm gaining, and my goal is to become Crystal. That was the goal. Actually, it's a different story though. But I'm gaining, and that how I was playing during the Ice Palace, I may have unlocked some of my potential there, because I realized that if I was going to get the record on this plus 20, and it wasn't an if I was going to get the record, I realized that it had to be natural, right? And the only, like, and I can't, again guys, this is literally purely theoretical. This is purely theoretical, purely a concept, because I have no idea what happened. I cannot put it into words, but there's something in my brain that said it had to be natural. It was something like this, guys. And again, it's a concept. I'm trying to put into words. It's not going to work. The only way I was going to, save those 20 seconds were good RNG. Sure, that's a given. I can't make any errors, right? Because if I lose a second, the odds of that being a PB, dramatically lowered. And that's 1 second. This is literally 40 minutes of gameplay. Yeah, 40 minutes of gameplay. No. Yeah, 40. Come on, guys. It's 40 minutes of gameplay, and I literally can't lose a second, right? So realistically, I can't. I have to play perfectly, right? And I can't overexert, because that's the whole argument in natural gameplay. And I just realized then that I have to play fast too, because if you don't play fast, you're not going to save any time. And all these combined, and it's like I'm not at a disadvantage for trying. So I just said, all right, let's just fucking do it. Let's focus. Let's calm down. Let's do it. And I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. It was like I said that it had to be a natural. It had to be natural. That's what I realized. It had to be completely comfortable. There's no overexerting. Everything I was doing to save time was all planned strategy, right? And if I didn't get good RNG, well, who cares? Because it's not completely out of my control. So it's like, I think that was what's the word? Imperative to how I was playing so good, because ice isn't a particularly hard dungeon, and there's a lot of things in the past where you just kind of risk it, because it's like a 1 frame window, it's a 2 frame window, you just risk it. If you get it, you win. If you don't, whatever. You just make sure you don't lose as much time. And again, we'll see. I can't force anything. It's the holy grail. I just can't force anything. So it's like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, guys, but my cards have been stacking up. Literally, my cards have been stacking up, all aces for the past, I would say about a week and a half, 2 weeks. They've just been aces. God's just giving me aces, and it's really hard to. When will this stop? Eventually, it will stop. When will it stop? How far am I going to go? These are the big questions. What's my real potential? Am I going to be able to get a 123.05? Am I going to be able to get a 122.55? And then is that going to happen a month from now, 2 months, 6 months? Am I going to plateau at 23.32 for 4 months, like I did to 24.13? By the way, to get the 124.13, I PB'd 3 times in a row. Nobody's ever done that. 0 people in the history of Lincoln Pass have never done that at that level. So what exactly is going to happen here? And I have really no idea. But this level of gameplay I was at was a North Star. It was a North Star. It's giving me tons of hope, because I've been playing Lincoln Pass for 4 years, and it's literally been nothing but a gigantic disaster. Every single minute of those 4 years, it's been a gigantic disaster. I literally 2015 was the worst year. 2015 it was like the second half of 2015 into 2016. That was the worst year. I literally played the game for almost a year, and I made almost no progress. A few seconds of gold splits total and 0 PBs, and literally in the past 3 days I've gotten more gold splits than I did in that entire year, pretty much, and more PBs, and that's how bad it was. And that story is pretty much marred through the rest of my career. And I'm not even talking about how the community hates me and constantly is throwing me under the bus, and everybody's trash talking me and all this bullshit. Because the truth is, I don't really care about it too much. I will say it's annoying. It's not good. It's not profiting, but it's honestly not in my not in top of my brain. You know what I care about? I care about getting the record. I want to really. I don't want to beat Crystal because her time's outdated, but I wanted to outdate her time. That's one thing I wanted to do, because I wanted to outdate her time, and then I wanted to get her skill level. Or, I wanted to pass her skill level. Or her time's outdated. Okay, so that's the first step. I have to get on her level. I don't know how long it could take to get on her level. 10 years. And it might be a goal that I just can't reach, but playing like I was, and with the information I have right now, this is more attainable than it's ever been in the past. And but I still think it's going to be at least a minimum a year, minimum. Playing every day, practicing, thinking, But the thing is, actually, like, this is why I'm so competitive with Zelda, is because when Crystal, like, my original goal is just to beat Crystal's time. Well, Crystal stopped playing, her time's kind of outdated. Now, her time's incredible, but Zelda came along, he kind of murdered her time. Especially the 2319, which is, it's like an incredible run. That run, it kind of made her time sort of irrelevant. It's more like a landmark than an actual, you know, than an actual, like, competitive time. Even though it's still better than literally everyone else. So he became my, like, okay, I'll beat Zelda then, you know, like, well, she's way too out of reach, and there's no time to show for it. So, and I already beat her time, so it's like, that's kind of, I have to throw that out the window. Well, Zelda's kind of made her time irrelevant, so I guess I can go to his time, right? But after I beat his time, if I beat his time, you know, that's still a big question. I've been playing so well lately, and there's been so many positive forces, but the real truth, again, about Link to the Past is I don't care. I give it a year. I'll give it a year of grinding every day. Like, I don't expect anything. And actually, it's funny because there was two players that, well, there was one particular player that had a 125.01. I think he had a 125. I want to say 03, and then he got an 01, or he had an 02, and then he got an 01, and then he got a 25.00, and then he got a 124. Well, he was trying to get a 124 for a while, and back in February, I said I would be surprised if a player got it this year, and a 24, and a player got a 124 this year. Multiple players proved me wrong. There's two players that proved me wrong, but yeah, he proved me wrong, and I was thinking about it, like, it's actually kind of funny because if you look at the stats, and if you look at my stats, and you look at really lifetime stats, I mean, I perceive a 123, or I used to, as an impossible feat. I perceive right now a 122, completely impossible feat, you know, and it's like, I perceive a player to get a 124 who just entered a 125 skill level, completely possible, and nobody can do that. So, but I mean, that's not the truth. That's obviously not the truth. I got a 123, 32, I got two 123s. My boy he got a 124, he proved me wrong, you know. So what's really going on here? And I mean, Zelda's been doing this forever, right? What's really going on here? And I was thinking about it. I was looking at the cold hard facts. It only took me about 100, less than 100 124s to get a 123. And actually, I want to say 90 something. So it was pretty close to 100. Well, it only took me, you know, my boy, to get it only about like 100 125s to get a 124. Again, not. If you look at that, like 100 124s is an attainable goal. I mean, if you could literally grind out 100 124s and then guaranteed a 123, it'd be a lot easier than, like significantly easier than actually grinding out the 123, right? But this is like a consistent thing that's happening. I mean, this is pretty much what happened to Zelda. And I think Zelda had about 200 124s before he got a 123. Now there's reasons for that. There's like understandable, you know, like that was to his benefit, you know. But again, you look at the facts, it's like this is consistently happening. Okay, I'm just gonna run over. This is consistently happening, you know. How many 123s is it gonna be before I get a 122? Zelda already has like 18 123s. I only have 3. You know, I mean, 122, he's already at 123.19, like 40 123s to get a 122, 39, 100. I could do 100, you know, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So I think that's interesting because it's super consistent, and if you think about it like that, it really like simplifies the process. You know, it's like, wait a minute, I don't have to overexert to get a goal time I want to get. You know, because that's generally the idea, is the argument. You have to overexert to get the goal time, right? Well, the stats don't agree with that. My theories completely disagree with that, right? In fact, in my theories, you say if you underexert, and I made this argument. It's a really funny argument. I made this argument like back in December with my friend, and I said, if you intentionally make an error, I mean, can that be a benefit? Can that be a good thing, right? And you know, everyone's laughing at me, of course, which is what everyone does. But no, I realize it now, because if you underexert, you actually are more natural. You're playing at a natural pace. You're playing at a natural rate, and that's way more important than overexerting, right? When you overexert, it's by definition playing and unnatural. It's unnatural, right? It's overexerting. That's why it's an ego trap. That's going to lead you to choking 99% of the time. But if you intentionally underexert, you're literally at natural, state of mind or execution by definition, because the run's not good by underexerting. And underexerting, I mean, it could be so simple as intentionally making an error. It could be just by doing safe straps, you know, or safe movement to minimize the odds of failing. Now, I think this is kind of what I think Crystal's doing. This is how deep her brain goes. But I think you go even deeper. You intentionally underexert and you develop strats and movements to play around that. And then what you do is you optimize the movement. Isn't that that's mind blowing to me? And I don't want to say Crystal's doing that because I don't know. It sounds like a loose idea. I come up with a lot of loose ideas, and a lot of them turn into good ideas. I mean, input-output theory is exactly that. Natural gameplay was just my brain was on fire. And these were loose ideas, and they turned into, gems. So it's like, this could turn into a gem, but, it's, for right now, it's completely loose. So, but I mean, that's kind of what was running through my brain, I think, back, last night during this Ice Palace, is like, because the thing is, if I make a single error, it runs over. Even 1 second error, it runs over. And it's not like it's this colossal end. I have to, Kuso myself, the run just ends because it's not good enough. It'll be a 23:20, it'll be a 23:33. And so what's the point? There's no difference between a 123:33 and a 129. So I can't make an error, right? And so that has to be the top priority. And I don't know, for some reason my brain just told me to not even underexert, but I don't know. The thing is, if I come up with a completely groundbreaking theory on this vlog, which a lot of my vlogs, I'll come up with these theories as I'm vlogging. If I come up with one of these theories, the thing is, it would take 3 to 4 to 6 months to flesh out, right? And typically it's like a month, or 2 months. Right now, I would say I'm at the peak of natural gameplay. But the thing is, a few days ago, like 4 or 5 days ago, I came up with an idea called macro natural gameplay, and this was another big winning idea that it just came out of nowhere, and it has to do with run anxiety. It has to do with goal anxiety and run anxiety, and it's not a solution to that, but and this is these ideas I need to flesh out. The idea though behind macro natural gameplay is that it says that if you have high anxiety, all right, try to get a specific goal, and you overexert, for example, I did that recently. You're gonna make all these mistakes, right? It's unnatural. And this is completely the idea around natural gameplay. The thing about natural gameplay is I've only applied it to micro situations, micro interactions, movement, tricks, little things like that. I never applied it to the big picture, and that's what macro natural gameplay is applying to the big picture. And the whole argument, this is a fundamental argument from an understanding point. Right, so the fundamental understanding of macro natural gameplay, the whole point of it is that if you do something and it's a mistake, you'll get anxiety, right, because of the goal. So a lot of people just say, well, eliminate the goal and the anxiety will go away. That's the ego trap. It doesn't work like that. But what you can do is start to understand that what you're doing is the only possible reality, and if you can do it, if you want to be able to get the goal, you have to do it naturally, right? And what's natural is what's happening. And so I'm saying if you make the mistake, and then if you make the mistake, that's the natural aspect of your gameplay. It's normal, right? In fact, you have to embrace it. I'm not saying to go out and do a run and try to do that, because what happens is that's the ego trap. It won't work. I'm saying to realize that process is already happening regardless. It's an innate process. And so the more you understand that process, the more you can prepare for it, practice for it, change your strats for it. That's not an ego trap. That's actually that's what practicing is. I do strongly believe that's what Crystal did or was able to do, at least on some level, to attain her level of gameplay. Now, I'm wondering, what are the applications, and what can I do to strategize to embrace macro natural gameplay? Because I think macro natural gameplay is literally, it fixes this run anxiety, this goal anxiety thing, right? And it obviously doesn't fix it, but what it does is it's a different game, basically. I'm playing a different game. I'm not playing this game where I'm gonna get nervous and I might not choke. I'm playing a game where I'm intentionally doing strats so I don't overexert, so I'm not put in a position where I can choke. See guys, I found a spot that there's no wind, and it might echo a little bit, but there's no wind. The light's okay. All right, let's focus. So although there's people coming in, but I think in the next like 6 months, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have to this echo's too bad in here, but check this shit out. Also, funny side note, we're now all gendered restrooms. Can you guys see that shit? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are those guys? I don't know, complete farce in my opinion, but shit's pretty funny. So I don't use these restrooms. A bunch of old white people determined that there needs to be all gender restrooms. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for inclusivity. I think that's why it wasn't for people's money, you know. I don't understand how somebody can allow something to happen when it goes against a person's will. I don't understand why that you would allow that, right? If you tell somebody to follow you, or tell somebody to mod you and have it on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, hey, sub to me, and they don't want to, but they do it anyway because you're pressuring them to, that's not their loss, it's your loss. You don't win because they follow you. You're at a disadvantage, right? I don't think anyone really gets that. I see a lot of people do that. And it's the same thing with the whole gender inclusivity stuff. It's like a lot of people will say, you need to be inclusive for my benefit, right? And I don't want to. Somebody doesn't want to, so they get mad at them, right? And they kind of force them to. Well, that only hurts the individual. It doesn't hurt the people that it doesn't hurt the people that will accede to your whims, right? To your demands. It only hurts the people that are telling you to do it. So it's like, I don't know why people do that, but they do. Whatever. I actually think it's an ego trap. That's what I think. But because eventually the whole thing falls apart, and you'd be like, well, see, I wasn't my fault. I told them to do it, right? Well, that's not that stupid. So back to gameplay, though, guys. Good little intermission, but back to gameplay. I'm guessing, what are the actual gameplay changes I need to make to change my natural gameplay, right? What are I don't know. I have no idea. I really do think last night during ICE, my brain was changing to a method that would promote that, right? That's becoming the only possible reality. I don't know. Maybe I got lucky, maybe I didn't. The whole point of it being natural is I don't want to do something and then play an amazing and then I'm afraid it'll leave me, right? If you completely understand a concept, it can't leave you. What's up, dude?
Yeah, Oliver.
What's up, man?
Bless you, dude.
Thanks, man.
What are you doing?
Just walking around.
Cool. You go to school here, right?
I used to.
Used to.
Dropped out. Do you go here?
No, I used to work here.
Oh, cool. Where do you work at?
I used to work at Joe's Burgers inside.
Cool.
Worked there with my brother. I quit 2 weeks ago, but today's like my last 2-week notice day.
Oh, yeah, right on.
So yeah.
Cool, dude.
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing?
Just hanging out. I'm vlogging, actually, making some fresh vlogs, but some ideas, yeah. I think I'm filming right now, but I'm not talking.
All right, cool. All right, well, say
see you later.
hi to your YouTube channel for me.
All right, I'll see you around, dude.
See you, man.
That's good. Yeah, that's my friend. I'll try to. Yeah, he's in the gray. You can't see him. But I have a little friend of mine. I'm actually like a neighbor, but we don't really talk anymore. It was cool seeing him, but for example, I can't choke understanding stair lag, right? This isn't like in Link to the Past, for example, or maybe like a really real example, like walking, physically walking. I can't choke it. I completely understand it. It's completely natural to me. I'll never choke it, right? I don't have to worry about that, right? So if I come up with a theory, if I come up with an idea like natural gameplay and I'm worried that I'll choke it, the truth is I just don't really understand it, right? And so what I should do is try to understand it more and just try not to force anything, which is weird because trying not to force something is a force in itself. And I've talked about this before, but it's not the point. I just ran into another friend of mine. It's crazy. I ran into 2 friends of mine. Not very often that I see people outside, so I'll take it. But my phone's about to die, guys, so I'm gonna wrap this up in like 15 minutes, of course. We'll try to wrap it up with some of my final thoughts on this. And I like what I've done today. I like what I've created today because I think that, again, I'm gonna be able to really flesh out these ideas in the next few months by going into summer, and I wish I remembered exactly what I was talking about because I was on a really good train, but I think it had something to do with what are the applications, what are the steps to implement natural gameplay? What can I do for that? What are the actual gameplay steps I can take take to eliminate run anxiety, and more importantly, not eliminate run anxiety, but embrace macro natural gameplay? And is underexerting truly part of that, or is what's going on, would I be underexerting by effect? Because I talked about this a lot in December, it's all these like good things that happen, they're all an effect, they're not a choice, not a cause, and so if you force the cause, then it'll blow up, right? So I have to underexert by effect, I can't underexert intentionally, right? That's kind of it's a very important point, but it's interesting too, and it's kind of like a puzzle. How do you solve the puzzle? How do I get myself to underexert, if that's even the goal, you know? Again, is that even the goal? So definitely going to think about that within the next, 3-6 months, maybe a week, I don't know. Last night was hard evidence that it's possible, that it's doable, that my brain accepts it at some level, which is amazing to me because it's often not the case. So I'm very happy with that. And actually, guys, the real truth of it, I was saying this, every time I play Link Past and I play good in it, it creates a ripple effect in 3 different categories. And one of them I was ripping on the community. One of them I was talking about, I don't remember. I was talking about something. And then the third one, actually, it goes back to Nikki, actually. It goes back to an old friend named Nikki, and it's all related. It's all related, and it might be too deep to talk about, to be honest. I might not have enough time, but I feel like I gotta save her. Oh, that's so the light's good. I feel like I gotta save her, and like, I don't really know how. I don't really know what I can do, but I feel like I gotta save her. I feel like it's out there, and I think it's connected to Link to the Past. And I always say, there's a prophecy surrounding me and the record. If I get the record, it fulfills a prophecy, and something's gonna happen. And I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's gonna happen, and I'm pretty damn close to the record. And I don't know if Zelda exists in my mind to push the record down. I'm not really certain, because obviously he exists in his own, self, right? He determines his own reality, but as far as I exist in my reality, it's like he is sort of that individual to push the record down, because Zelda or Crystal quit. How the record's not going to go down. If I had capped out at 124.23 after I beat her time, very likely would have quit the game, and then what? Still nobody's beat her time. Still nobody's beat my time. Basically nobody's close, although some people are arguably close enough. But it's like, what exactly? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but it's out there. There's an answer. It's out there, and I think it's intrinsically connected to Nikki somehow. The thing is, like, I think if she was truly happy, and I can't save her, I think that's a good thing, right? I think I just win by default, right? That's all right. I don't have to do anything. That's like if you play a speed game and you get the record on the 3rd try, or there is no record. It's like you just win. Great. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case, and I'm going purely on instinct, body language, gut. There's no logic or rationale that justifies my thoughts and my actions on this, and that's part of the reason the ego theory is, because this is all stems from ego theory. Part of the reason it's so powerful is because if I am going to save her, then I have to do it right, and doing it for my ego the whole thing would collapse, and it's like I can't have that. So my ego has to be completely in check, right? That's kind of that's kind of it. And it's like, you guys may not, a lot of you guys don't even know what ego theory is, but there's more to this story. Like, my phone's gonna die. It might just randomly die, so the vlog ends there, but I think it'll keep going. But like, right before I created ego theory, and this was in 2013, and actually nobody knows about this, guys. I didn't tell anybody about this, but I had kidney stones in August, I think. And then I again in November, and in November, right around Thanksgiving weekend, I had them really bad, and I was playing Link Past like really hard, all of October, November.